So to solve these rational equations, they'll be very similar to the first one, except the denominators will all be factored for you, and we won't have to worry about any of that. But the multiplying is still the same. So you want to multiply each fraction by whatever it takes to cancel things out. So if we multiply by, you multiply by the x and the x minus 2 to cancel both of those factors. And each piece has to get multiplied by the same thing. So, and then you look at what's going to cancel out, and if anything cancels out, cancel it. If it doesn't, then you'll multiply it in. So the x here will cancel with the x there, the x minus 2 with the x minus 2. So that's just going to leave the x squared plus 20 to drop down. And then on the other side, the x minus 2 cancels with the x minus 2, leaving this x. So that x has to distribute. So I'm going to have 14x minus x squared. So when we have an x squared, we want to get the x squares on the same side. I like to keep them positive, so I'm going to add x squared over here. And then I have 2x squared plus 20 equals 14x. Now, since the x squares did not cancel out, what I need to do is solve this quadratic. So I need to get it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract that 14x. And that's going to make it equal 0. And that's going to give me 2x squared minus 14x plus 20. So now your goal is to factor and solve. So if you notice, each of those terms can be divided by 2. So I'm going to factor out the 2. It's going to give me x squared minus 7x plus 10 equals 0 still. And then I factor the trinomial on the inside. You can use the star for that. So we have 10 on top, negative 7, and 1. So what multiplies to get 10 and adds to get negative 7. So you're going to have negative 2 and negative 5. Okay, so the factors are going to be 1x minus 2 and 1x minus 5. And what you do is set each of them equal to 0, and then you have your two solutions. So we'll have x minus 2 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to have x equals positive 2 and x equals positive 5. Now, before you say, okay, those are my answers, you want to go back and check what are the excluded values to this equation. So if you remember from a few days ago, let's see, I'm going to clean up the denominators here. The excluded values are what makes the denominators equal 0. So you've got this x minus 2. If you set that equal to 0, you would get x equals 2. So 2 is an excluded value. We have to kick it out. X minus 2 is going to give us positive 2 again. The x is going to give us 0. So here's our two excluded values. And since one of our answers was one of our excluded values, we just kick it out. So it's what they call an extraneous solution. Okay, so yeah, you want to check if your excluded values need to get kicked out. Let's go check out number 4 here. So you first want to multiply to cancel the denominators. So we cancel the x minus 3, multiplied by x minus 3. You're also going to need to multiply by x minus 1. X minus 1. And then start canceling out what cancels. I guess before we go too far, let's get our excluded values. So looking at your factors in the denominator, the x value that makes them equal 0 is going to give you your excluded values. So x cannot equal 3, and x cannot equal 3 again, and x cannot equal 1. So if either of those are in our solution, then we have to kick them out. All right, let's keep going with our canceling now. So the x minus 3 cancels with the x minus 3, and x minus 3 cancels with x minus 3, x minus 1 with x minus 1. So what we're left with is that x minus 1 and this x plus 1 that was there to begin with. So we need to multiply those guys with each other. And then I have equals. Now don't forget this negative here. That is going to change all of our signs. So we'll have a negative x squared, a positive 6x, and a minus 1. Now I need to distribute over here. So I've got x squared plus x, and then minus x, and then a minus 1. So those guys cancel each other out. So I have x squared minus 1 equals negative x squared plus 6x minus 1. Now what I would recommend is keeping your x squares positive. So even though it means moving more pieces, I would add the x squared over here. And what we're going to have, 2x squared minus 1 equals 6x minus 1. And then we need to move so since our x squared did not cancel out, we need to move everything over to get our equation equal to 0. So if I subtract the 6x and add the 1, what's that going to give us? I'm going to write it over here. So I'm going to have 2x squared and then minus 6x, and the minus 1 plus 1 will cancel each other out there. So now I can set this equal to 0 and then factor and solve. So what can I factor out of both of those? I can take a 2x out of both. That's going to leave me with x minus 3 equals 0. Then I set both my factors equal to 0 and solve. So I have 2x equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. And then I solve both of those separately. So I have divide by 2. X is going to equal 0 divided by 2 is 2. 0 divided by 2 is 0. And then if I add the 3, I got a 3. So remember your excluded value. We kicked out 3 at the beginning. So 3 is extraneous. So our only solution is 0. All right. If you have any questions, let me know.